All right, hello everybody, and welcome back to Chenzo's Corner. I'm your host, Charlie DiVincenzo. A little bit of a rebrand since our first video there. Wanted to kind of base this channel around, my brand rather than a, traditional Chicago sports takes. Kind of want to branch out into just about everything, so that's exactly what we're going to start with in this video, talking about the Oklahoma Sooners. My Oklahoma Sooners actually go to school here. As you can see probably by a lot of the decorations behind me, the football team. I have been a diehard Oklahoma fan since I was a little kid, and now that I'm at the school as a junior, I've been able to watch this team in person for the last 3 years, and I really, really want to deep dive into the subject of the Oklahoma Sooners. So, with that being said, let's get right into it. Now, Oklahoma ranked 13th in the country after last week's big win versus Michigan. John Mateer, a Heisman front runner right now. I believe his odds are at plus 900 to win the trophy. This is a revelation from what we saw last year with Jackson Arnold, as he ended up transferring out, obviously, to Auburn, who comes into town not this week, but next week. We'll have a video covering that when that game happens, but that's another topic for another time. That's a whole video in itself. I just kind of wanted to get on here today and discuss everything going on with Oklahoma right now. Obviously, Brent Venables before the season seemed like he might be on the hot seat. I think he got his name cleared of that pretty darn quickly versus Michigan in week 2. The defense wasn't a question mark coming into this year. It was more of how good are they actually going to be. And man, they proved it. They proved it versus Michigan. They had Bryce Underwood in a box. Then the third and really the big question mark on this team was how the offense was going to fare this year. Obviously, new offensive coordinator in Ben Arbuckle, new quarterback in John Mateer. And with all of that, I believe they've played rather perfectly through the first 2 weeks. They were a little bit vanilla in week 1, but really branched that offense out there in week 2. So with that being said, let's get right into it. Brent Venables coached a masterclass in week 2. Obviously, he's been known as one of the best defensive play callers of probably the last 20 to 25 years in college football. Was with Clemson when they won their 2 national titles, one with Watson, one with Lawrence. Defenses were a big focal point on that team. Sent a lot of guys to the league. Came back to Oklahoma. Obviously, he started at Oklahoma in the early 2000s. Came back to be the head coach after the departure of Lincoln Riley. Has done a beautiful job of just reincorporating the original brand of Oklahoma, which was hard-nosed football, a lot of tough players. We were missing that for years with Lincoln Riley. Even towards the end of Bob Stoops' tenure, we were missing that physicality on defense. We had the offense. The offense was there between Baker, Kyler, Hurts. I mean, even going back into the Trevor Knight and Blake Bell era, there wasn't a whole lot of defense. There was a whole lot of offense. When Brent Venables came in, that was his biggest point, was to make defense great again with this football team, and I believe he has done exactly that, making good players great players. Or Mason Thomas, for instance, came in a little bit undersized, had the speed off the edge. Everybody knew what he could be, and he has turned into a behemoth on the edge, probably going to be a first-round pick in this year's upcoming draft. But Brent Venables, after last year's down year, 6-7, lost to Navy in the bowl game, big-time loss there. There was question marks. Lost a whole lot of his team to the portal, got a bunch of guys back from the portal, but there were question marks. Venables, obviously coming into this season now, 4th season with the Sooners. First year, you can't even count it with all the loss that team demanded so much, and they had so little. And that team was doomed from the get-go. Lost their starters, lost all of their backups, lost majority of the coaching staff, 90% of it, I'd say. And they came back, put a good foundation in place, but just couldn't get there. People weren't really skeptical of Venables. They knew it was going to be a rebuilding year. In that second year, he came out and proved why that foundation was going to be a big piece into that following season, where Dylan Gabriel went 10-2, took the team almost to the playoffs, almost should have been in the playoffs. People remember that season. Obviously, blown call versus Oklahoma State. Drake Stoops pass interference in the back of the end zone was not called, and the loss to Kansas, which was a disaster in the final 3 minutes. Just could not close out that game. Resulted in a 10-2 season, missed out on the Big 12 title, went to the Alamo Bowl, played Arizona and lost, obviously 10-3 to end that season, bounced back into last year where it was an expected linear increase. Everyone thought, okay, first year in the SEC, it might be a little bit tough, but this group has what it takes to go a little ways, and it was not the case. Big time regression last year. Part due, in fact, to Jackson Arnold not really living up to expectations. The defense at points was not where it needed to be, and the offensive line was abysmal. You could chalk it up just as that. So they finished season 6-7 last year, coming back into this year, I should say, 2-0, number 13 in the country right now. Heisman hopeful front runner at quarterback. Great defense, I'd argue top 10 in the country. After watching that Michigan game, they really had Bryce Underwood in a place of really, he was boxed, nowhere to go. He couldn't run, he couldn't throw. Now, his coordinators didn't give him help. He didn't really have the chance to go downfield with the football. It was a lot of short stuff underneath, but that's expected from a true freshman facing a Brent Venables defense. Kind of gearing back towards the point with Venables, I think if he finished this season 8-9 wins, I don't think it's a question anymore if he could keep his job. I think it's a question of how far he could take this team. I'm going to pull up the schedule right now. This is the rest of the schedule for the Sooners this year. You got Temple this weekend. Only 20-point favorites, which kind of surprises me. It's kind of surprising. Anyway, you get Auburn at home. You go to Kent State at home, get a little bye week before Texas. Then you go South Carolina, Ole Miss, I believe Tennessee. Let me check. Anyway, those next 4 games, you got to win versus Temple there, obviously. Win versus Kent State. Texas, I think they might get them this year. Texas is not all of what we thought they might be. Then South Carolina on the road, that's going to be a tough one, and that's going to be a trap game if you do beat Texas. Then you got to go to Ole Miss. Ole Miss comes here, rather. You go to Tennessee. You go to Alabama. Missouri comes here, and then you end the season at home against LSU. If you beat Texas, I don't see a reason why you can't run the table with this team. It may be crazy to say. I know we're number 13 in the country. I know in years past with the Brent Venables-led teams, there has been hope and you have been let down. But if you do go to Dallas, you go in there 5-0. You beat Auburn, you beat Kent State, you beat Temple. You're 5-0. Go into Dallas, and you beat Texas. If you win that game, you're 6-0, probably sitting at top 5 in the country. Pretty easily top 5 in the country, I'd argue. Already would have 3 ranked wins up to that point, 2 of which would be in the top 15 as long as Texas holds on to at least be 4-1 during that game. South Carolina, gotta beat them, right? If you beat Texas. Ole Miss, win. Tennessee has looked good, and you have to go into Neyland in that game. That's going to be a very tough environment, and that might be your first loss of the season. Then you go to Alabama. We don't know. Was Florida State really that good? Was Alabama really that bad? And where do they stand come week 8? Then you get Missouri. Then you get LSU. Missouri should be a win. LSU at home is going to be a great game and could have SEC title implications. It could very well have implications. You might be fighting for a first or second seed in the SEC, both those teams between LSU and Oklahoma. And hell, that could be a top 5 matchup. We'll have to see when we get there. That schedule looks pretty daunting. You're going to have to run a gauntlet if you're Oklahoma to make the playoffs this year, to make a run at the SEC title. And if you can do all that, then make a run at the national title. Let's pump the brakes a little bit and get focused here on the defense, who, you cannot say enough good things about. The D-line, I feel like they're in the backfield every play. Marvin Jones Jr. had a great game against Michigan. It felt like he was terrorizing Underwood. David Stone coming back. You can't even begin to explain how big that is for this program. Just in the fact that they're able to pay a guy to come back and able to kind of course a guy back into their system after he wanted out. You get Dominic Williams on that D-line. You get Jaden Jackson. You even get Marcus Strong, who started playing a little bit last week. On the other edge, we talked about him already, our Mason Thomas, probably going to be a first-round pick. He is the focal point on that D-line. Then you get Taylor Wine as a backup. PJ Adebawore. There's so many pieces to this team, and especially that defense. And you're really beginning to see them flourish the more they, get reps on the field. You go back into that linebacking core. You get Kip Lewis. You get Owen Heineke, who seemingly come out of nowhere. The former walk-on has looked excellent through his first 2 games. He was all over the field versus Michigan. Get Kobe McKenzie, who's a captain on this team. Going to be his he's a senior now, 4th year. He knows this system like the back of his hand. He is one of Brent Venables' original guys, in his first recruiting class. He is exactly what Venables wants as the leader of this defense. And then the secondary. The secondary, everyone thought was going to be a question mark. No one knew what this defense was going to be capable of. The secondary, rather, sorry. You got Gentry Williams, who's been injury prone. You got Cortland Guillory, who's a true freshman. You got Devon Jordan, who didn't play that much last year. You got a whole lot of other guys. Jacoby Johnson, who hasn't really proven himself. Robert Spears-Jennings was going to be, or you thought would be, the focal point of the secondary, along with Peyton Bowen, who 5-star recruit, hadn't really proved himself yet. Eli Bowen, we knew would miss a couple games. Michael Boganowski hasn't really played that much. This secondary has been the best in the SEC and one of the best in the country. Cortland Guillory has asserted himself as a cornerback 1 on any team as a true freshman. He is already a shoo-in as a freshman All-American if he could continue to play the way he has been. And I don't see a reason why he can't. He is all over the field making PBUs. They're not even targeting him yet. They really aren't. Obviously, it'll be a little bit more of a test this weekend with Temple because they throw the ball so much. I'm not saying the talent is on par with Michigan. The talent's going to be more towards how it was week 1 against Illinois State. But this team does throw the ball quite a bit, and you're going to see a little glimpse of the air raid offense. And I think Guillory is becoming one of the best players on this defense as an 18-year-old. And that's unfathomable. Unfathomable. It's a tough word. On this defense, he is going to be one of the better players in the secondary as years come by. Gentry Williams has looked good. Hasn't got hurt. Cross your fingers on that one. Has had an unfortunate series of injuries throughout his career that really has derailed it to this point. Has so much potential. Is so fast. So fast out there. I remember Red River 2023 picked off Quinn Ewers to start the game. Man, everyone thought that was the year. Now, Peyton Bowen, who was a 5-star recruit, people were kind of starting to think, oh no, well, he came in with Arnold. He was one of Arnold's good friends. Hasn't really done much himself. Was that class just a bust in general? He has looked fantastic. He's been all over the field, doing his job where he needs to be. He has been playing great football, and I think it's good for him that he's off special teams. He gets to focus on playing his position. Isaiah Satenga can take the punts. He can take the kicks. Peyton Bowen should be focusing on playing safety where he was recruited to play. And I think that's big for him. Robert Spears-Jennings, kind of been rotational so far. He's come in, he's come out. He's been all over the field when he has been in. But like I said, this defense is just so deep that a guy like that does not have to play the whole game. You can take him out at some points, and you're going to be just as good. Now, when you get Eli Bowen back, when you get Kendall Dolby back, this team automatically becomes, this defense becomes top 5, top 3 in the country. Kendall Daniels, another guy I haven't talked about, looked phenomenal versus Michigan. I mean, that guy could really, really lay the boom out there. He has been all over the place at Cheetah. Moving on now to the offensive side of the ball. And the big story there, the biggest story of the season so far for Oklahoma, we kind of knew what the defense was going to be. John Mateer. Wow. Did anybody think John Mateer was going to have as good of a year as he has to this point? I don't think so. I mean, week two, we'll pump the brakes just a little bit here. But this guy really does look like he has shades of Baker. He looks like he's composed. He has that moxie. He has that confidence that every good quarterback it feels in college football has. He has that moxie about him. He can control an offense. He's so calm. When things break down, I think that's my number one strength of his so far through 2 weeks is how calm he is when that pocket breaks down. He's willing to make a play. He's willing to put his shoulder down if he has to. And he's willing to make, the off-balance throw. He looks like he could win the Heisman Trophy. Granted, once again, week 2. He could win this trophy if he keeps playing how he's playing. And if he leads this team to 10, to 11 wins, maybe only 1 or 2 losses, he is a shoo-in for that award with this schedule. The running backs have looked okay. The running game needs to get going a little bit, for sure. Torrey Blaylock has looked the best out of every single back we have out there. Jaden Knott hasn't really played. Week 1, they kind of sounded like they were going to silence him and just wait until Michigan to really get him going. But week 2 versus Michigan, he wasn't really playing at all. So, we don't really know with that yet. Did we overpay? Is he really the real deal? Is he what they said he was going to be coming into this season? We don't really know. Javante Barnes played pretty good against Michigan, but at the end of the day, I think you're going to get the same Javante Barnes you've been getting for 3 years. Inconsistent, but good third and short back. When you need a yard, he'll get you a yard. The offensive line has looked majorly improved. Michael Fasusi at left tackle is going to do things to this team that they did not even think could be done last year. At left tackle, Fasusi, he has looked great. Ozeda and Eddie Pierre-Louis at left guard have kind of shifted between each other. I love Foji at guard too. Foji's kind of come in and out of the mix. Derek Simmons obviously in there. Everybody's looked great on the O-line. The pairings have looked good so far. That last game, they really, really stepped it up, and it looks like they have taken a leap from last year. Receivers, you're still missing Giovanni Gibson. You're still missing Jaden Gibson. Those are 2 more guys that are going to elevate this passing game when they come back, especially Giovanni Gibson based on the way they've been hyping him up throughout camp, and he's going to be a focal point in that offense. But right now with Deion Burks, revenge game against Michigan last week, killed him. So agile. Another guy that, you could be seeing going off draft boards on maybe late day 1 or early day 2 come this spring. Jaron Kanik at tight end. Oh my God. No one was expecting that. The shift from linebacker to tight end, obviously he was an athlete in high school, Played quarterback, played running back, played all over in high school. He was mislabeled. Coming in as a linebacker. I mean, let's just be honest here. If they had him as a tight end for the past 3 years, the way he's playing through the first 2 weeks, he'd be gone to the NFL already. I mean, he's a little bit undersized for the position, but man, he really opens the field up with his speed and his agility and the way he runs with the ball when he gets it. He runs like he is a running back. And he has been excellent for this team so far. So, that's about it for the offense. I mean, I wanted one more. Keontae Lewis. Keontae Lewis has looked awesome. Eastern Illinois transfer. I'm excited to see what he does the rest of this season. He looks like he could be a number 1 if Burks isn't there. If Burks is on the sidelines for a play, that is a guy you could definitely throw the ball up to and trust as a wide receiver 1. That's about it. I mean, we're at the 20-minute mark here. I think we've discussed everything we wanted to today. Talked about Venables for a little while. Talked about the defense. Talked about the offense. We're going to get into game recaps, obviously, this weekend against Temple. We'll see how that game goes. And for everything coming forth, let me know what you guys want to hear about in the comments. I'm willing to listen or talk about any sports. You know, basketball's out of season right now. Baseball's coming up on playoff time. Football, you know, we're here. I'll talk about any football, college, NFL, any team. I talk about it all day. I might as well put it on air. Baseball, basketball, like I was saying, love those. Know just as much about them. You could probably see my Derrick Rose poster, my Michael Jordan right above me with my Bulls flag. I love basketball, love baseball. Talk about that. Let me know what you guys want to hear. Obviously, this is my channel, but I want to hear what you guys want me to do. And I will incorporate that with whatever videos I continue to make here into the future. So thank you for tuning in to Chenzo's Corner. I'm Charlie DiVincenzo. Thank you guys for watching.